Hello everyone, this is Cheryl Zwalji again here from Astral Connections, and here with me I have Anya Petrovic. Anya is the founder of Tesla Metamorphosis. Welcome, Anya. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
It's nice to be here.
You've come from a long way.
Well, yeah, I live in Australia, but actually now I came from New Zealand. And from here I go to Zurich and Zagreb and Skopje and Belgrade, Moscow.
Wow.
So I'm a traveler, yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself before the traveling, before Tesla Metamorphosis. Where'd you live? Where'd you grow up? What were your interests?
Well, I'm originally from Serbia, so I grew up in Belgrade.
Okay.
Once upon a time, it used to be Yugoslavia. Yeah, and I'm in Australia for 20 years already, and I'm in healing work for, let's say, quarter century. I was doing Reiki for 11 years, and then I was doing reconnective healing and assisting on Dr. Eric Pearl's seminars.
Yeah.
And then Tesla happened to me.
So you were assisting Eric Pearl, in what nature were you assisting him? Like, did he ask you to assist him, or what was that relationship all about? There
was always a group of assistants, for each country,
right.
because he used to have many, attendees. I was a part of the team, yeah.
So did you study Tesla, or what was your interest in Tesla? How did that all happen?
Well, it just started like a fairy tale. I mean, I knew who Tesla was because what is different from schools in Western world, we learned about Tesla and about his invention, electricity, wireless, radio, remote control, and so on. But I never really had an idea that he had interest in human health, and I didn't know about his spirituality because that was something that we didn't learn at school, yeah. And then when one day I got a message, Tesla healing, you need to reconstruct Tesla healing.
How did you get the message?
Well, Tesla healing, you need to reconstruct Tesla healing.
It was a voice in your head?
Yeah, it was a voice in my head, and I thought, oh, what a nonsense, Tesla and healing.
Science and
yeah,
right brain, left brain, right?
Yeah.
You were thinking.
Yeah, because I really didn't know about his spirituality, and I didn't know about his interest in
so how'd you find that out?
Well, it all went gradually, and it would be quite a long story.
Give us a synopsis.
Yeah, well, everything started just even much earlier than that voice in my head. In 2001, I just had a sudden urge to go to India, and at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I heard myself saying, I must go to India. And then next day at 2 o'clock, I was already on a plane with Lisa, and I was going
crazy.
to India, yeah, and I even didn't know where I was going.
Right.
There is a story on my website, because when I came back, I had to write down everything, because I knew after a while, I myself will not believe how it all happened and what I have experienced there.
So you recorded everything.
Yeah, I had to put down everything on a paper because it was so miraculous. I actually ended in Sai Baba's ashram.
Wow.
And it's interesting that in 2009, when I was teaching seminar in Sydney, one of my students have sent me, actually forwarded an email where there was a quote from a book published in Italy. And in this quote, Sai Baba says, I brought you an angel, Nikola Tesla, to improve your destiny. And I was, Sai Baba and Nikola Tesla, I would never connect those two people. And then I understood that actually...
They met each other, or?
Well, not in this life, because Tesla lived in 19th century, But I mean, in some spiritual...
I guess,
Yeah. because you know that Sai Baba had a few reincarnations. Yeah. So that is when it actually all started, as far as I could get it.
Did you learn more about the Tesla Sai Baba connection at all, or?
No, not really. I can't say about that. It was pretty shocking, you know, when I realized that in 2001 I was sent to Sai Baba because of Nikola Tesla, because then I understood that nothing's just by chance, and that there are already prepared scenarios for us, and we have a choice, and we probably get in and play our role when we are ready. But
and we're reminded, I guess, along the way.
Yeah, and the problem is that we have a choice, because then we have the responsibility with this choice. Yeah, and this is what.
Yeah, and so tell me a little bit about. So you did Reiki, you did Reconnective. So how did you go from Reiki and Reconnective healing to Tesla? Like, and how does that all come to be?
Well, I have a clever answer. I don't know.
That's a very clever answer, but it doesn't give me any information.
You know, it was that day. First, it started. I was standing by the window and waiting for my client to come. I happened to be in Belgrade at that time, and then all of a sudden, two doves came onto window, and they two white doves, and they flipped their wings as two ballerinas, you know, and then turned away and flew away. And I was so thrilled, you know, it was such a beautiful experience, but I couldn't connect it to anything. And actually Tesla was in love with one dove, and you know, there is a story he wrote about a dove dying, and he used to go out and feed doves. But at that time, at that moment, you know, I couldn't connect doves with this. And then after that happened, that messaging, and the client came, and I was doing healing, and all of a sudden I hear that voice in my head, Tesla healing, you need to reconstruct Tesla healing. And the voice would come again. And then that day there were 9 coincidences saying Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. And one of them is I received in mail an article written by engineer Goran Marjanovic, who wrote about non-Hertzian waves Tesla was working with.
Non-what?
Non-Hertzian, Hertz, you know.
Spell it?
I don't know. Hertz is you know, we measure energy in hertzes.
Hertzian.
Okay, Hertzian.
Got it.
Yes. Non-Hertzian waves. Yeah. And as I didn't know where to start from, because there were too many coincidences, I was aware finally that I was supposed to do something about it. So I decided to contact this engineer and ask him if he could, you know, maybe tell me something more. And
who is this engineer? How'd you find him? Or?
Well, I received in mail this article.
Yes.
And that was one of the 9 coincidences that happened that day. So that is how I have chosen him. And I found his website and his contact. And I was pleasantly surprised, because he said that he was really happy to see me, and he even suggested if I wouldn't have anything against it, he would invite Professor Abramovich, who is known as the most knowledgeable person about Tesla. Yeah. And of course I didn't have, you know,
any objection. Why objection.
It
would be a pleasure.
Yeah, I was really surprised that they were happy to talk to a lady who waves her hands, and you know, I had prejudice about scientists, but I was wrong. Yeah. And then they discovered that we were talking from 5 p.m. till midnight. And the time came just like this, just flew. And they discovered to me, Tesla I didn't know about, they discovered to me Tesla's spirituality and his interest for human health.
Right.
The Tesla who said the day science started researching non-material phenomena, in 1 decade it will make more progress than in all centuries of its existence.
Wow, that's a profound statement.
Yeah, and then, when I was telling them what happened, like
so
this happened and this happened.
Side of Tesla, then, obviously.
Yeah, but it was interesting that those serious two scientists, when I was telling them, the dives and then a calendar, and there is a long story. You can also go on to Metamorphosis.com and you'll find the whole story. But when I told them that, it was funny because those two serious scientists would nod their heads like kids and say, that's Tesla. Yeah, that's Tesla. And I was like, my eyes were getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
They're already pretty big. So.
Could you imagine that? Like a mosquito.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, the puzzles started getting into place. And I received a channel text from Estella. Again, just by chance, there is a young girl in Serbia who channels this lady Estella from Constellation Brewery from her age of 12. And she was instructed to send this particular text to me. And in this text, there is all theory and philosophy behind Tesla Metamorphosis.
But it wasn't. But the birth of Tesla Metamorphosis hadn't occurred yet, correct? Or
no, because I was just I felt very clumsy in all that. There was so many information.
Clumsy.
Yeah, and I just, why me and what am I supposed to do? I'm sorry, but I'm not perfect. Yeah. Nobody is. It took me 9 months. It was like a birth. Yeah, and then when I put the puzzles together, and there were times where I was just questioning it, just
so
am I just making it up, or was it just coincidence? And then one morning when I woke up, I had the message, once you and your clients start to glow, you will know. And come on, could you imagine me going through a shopping center and glowing? But
once you and your clients start to glow, you will know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's interesting, my mother's language is Serbian. I always get messages in English. I mean, Tesla lived most of his life in America, but still it's a bit strange. And the interesting thing happened.
Maybe so you could share with others, right? Because others wouldn't be able to know the Serbian.
Well, I would translate. And but you know what? Then I started noticing light around some clients during the session. And then if the light, it's like smudgy white light, and if the area which is of light around a head would be larger, then you could even see some movements within this light. It's like a dance of seagrass or something like this, as if head is evaporating, but you can see.
You can see.
Yeah. And also since I see
when gas on a flame, you get that wavy look. That one.
Yeah. And then every time, as the longer I was doing it, the more things that I have never experienced with other modalities would happen, and but I didn't have any proof. I had the messages. I knew that I'm doing something that is like Tesla, but I I haven't had any proof of that. And then, just by chance,
just by chance, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing's a coincidence.
Yeah.
I'm learning very fast.
Yeah, I'm positive about that with everything what happened in my life. Nothing's the coincidence. So just by chance, I received a report from Mountain Röten, which turned to be a pyramid. It's a mountain in Serbia, and they found out that that's a pyramid. And they were, in this report, I saw a PIP camera image of this mountain.
A PIP camera image?
Yeah, this is a special camera, which is, I think Dr. Henry Oldfield from London invented it. And it can...
Kind of like Kirlian photography?
Yeah, but it's much more precise than Kirlian photography. It could make images of energy field, and it's lately used widely in science. So I saw those PIP camera images of mountain Röten, and it was interesting that on the top of this mountain there is that purple color and purple waves on the top, and when scientists were measuring, it turned that the energy would be weaker on the top of the mountain and stronger away from the mountain. So they assumed that this pyramid is a receiver. But then, just by chance again, this engineer Goran Marjanovic I mentioned before had with him a Tesla amplifier with extra coil, which radiates those waves that we now call Tesla waves.
Is Tesla waves the same as scalar waves?
No.
Okay.
It's completely different in quantity and in quality, not just in frequency, but also in quality. They are multidimensional, and on my website you can find the explanation of
the different waves. And
of Professor Ristovsky, and also Tesla wrote about them in his Canadian inventions.
And he actually makes a distinction between scalar waves
and Hertzian waves. So
Hertzian.
You can Hertzian, So you can find it on the website teslametamorphosis.com.
Right.
And the difference is because Tesla waves are getting stronger with distance. So he switched on that amplifier with extra coil, and had shown the scientists how that there are waves that can get stronger with distance, and he named them. Goran Marjanovic named them Tesla waves.
Right.
Yeah, because Tesla wrote about them, but he didn't call them Tesla waves, and we call them Tesla waves because Tesla was the first person,
the founder,
who ever used them and wrote about them. Yeah. And what is interesting, why we call this modality Tesla Metamorphosis, it is because we can access those Tesla waves, but we access them directly from the field, or how Tesla would call it, active ether. So there are no machines involved. We access those waves directly. Yeah.
So why can one person access them and another person not? Or what?
It's a very good question, but I don't know the answer. Yeah, I got an email, like somebody asking me, why was you have been chosen, just to carry that around. And I really don't know. I was asking this question, maybe because I'm crazy enough to travel around the world and spend 8 months a year living out of the suitcase and going through all those security checkings on the airports. Yeah, but what is interesting about this this report from Mountain Röten, actually the pyramid, why it was interesting for me, because then this Professor Ristovsky from the Institute for Bioenergetic Research, made a PIP camera photo of this Tesla amplifier with
Can I ask you a question? Was there a comparison done between PIP and Kirlian? Was there a difference determined? Or
it wasn't my sphere of interest, so I didn't go. But I know definitely that Kirlian, PIP is much more precise than Kirlian, and you can see the colors that are specific for certain frequencies of energy. So with Kirlian, you see just the glow. So that's the difference. So when Professor Ristovsky from the Institute made a PIP camera image of this Tesla amplifier with extra coil, there were those purple colors around the coil, equal to the colors on the top of the mountain. So I decided, I was brave enough to contact Professor Ristovsky and ask him if he wouldn't mind to do photos on my seminar, because I was doing seminars in Belgrade at that time. And he said, why not? And then he was making photos one day and the other day, not saying anything. And then the third day, he came forward. He came to us and, he had shown me the photos made during the sessions of Tesla Metamorphosis. And he said, look, those purple colors, they are equal to the colors around Tesla amplifier with extra coil. So there is no doubt that you can access in Tesla Metamorphosis those Tesla waves. And what is even more interesting, he said that he had checked in their data, in Dr. Oldfield's data, on internet, and there is no other modality using those Tesla waves. So it seems that we are using them for the first time. So don't ask me why we couldn't access them earlier, because I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the only...
it's a mystery, right? Why it was possible all of a sudden. So there must have been some kind of metamorphosis that took place.
What I do believe, it's about our consciousness. As our consciousness elevates, there is much more available for us out there.
So you did Reiki before and reconnection. Was comparisons done between Reiki and reconnection and the Tesla Metamorphosis to define whether there was a...
Well, the main, in general, I very often I'm asked this question, and in general, difference among modalities is not how we wave our hands or where we place our hands. The difference is in what frequencies of energy we can access. So that is the main difference. And also that's what we get. I mean, our clients report amazing healings and fast healings from illnesses that are considered as uncurable or non-curable in Orthodox medicine. And that is amazing, but what even fascinated myself, I'm even more fascinated with the effect of those Tesla waves on human consciousness, because there are some phenomena that are not really, known before. For example, after having Tesla Metamorphosis seminar, all students on PIP camera images had those purple colors that are specific for Tesla waves. And I don't know whether you've heard about Swami Vivekananda, have you?
Absolutely.
Well, okay, so Tesla had very high respect for Swami Vivekananda. Actually, that was a mutual respect, because Vivekananda used to say that, and he wrote to his colleague in India, how Tesla was the most spiritual man he ever met in the Western world. And also
Vivekananda was pretty spiritual himself.
Well, yeah, yeah, and I mean, if he said something like this,
that's pretty
yeah,
profound.
and also he said that he could see all their gods in different colors in Tesla's laboratory, Shiva and Vishnu, and he could even feel the presence of Brahma. Yeah, and also something very interesting for me especially, he said that Tesla was talking to those lights, giving them orders, communicating with them as with conscious beings. And I really do believe that what is happening in Tesla Metamorphosis is the work of some high intelligence, because I don't do anything clever. I mean, I have finished some 3 universities, and none of them helped me a bit in doing this healing work. And everybody can do it, you know, farmers and doctors and professors and plumbers. It doesn't really have anything to do with education or our intelligence. And also, that what is fascinating is how those Tesla waves elevate our consciousness, the frequency of our consciousness. So why did I mention Swami Vivekananda? Tesla said that Vedanta could be the only theory that could entertain modern science. So I was curious, and I went, you know, I decided to attend the classes of Vivekananda's teaching, and there we learned something that gave me the insight what those purple colors are, you know, what is the meaning of those purple colors. Because Swami would tell us that yogis had a special meditation which had a purpose to elevate consciousness. So they would start from basic chakra to sexual, now up to 7 chakras. And as he said, only some managed to get to the level of crown chakra. And crown chakra is purple color. So it seems that those Tesla waves help us get to the level of crown chakra without all this discipline in life as yogis, you know, were doing. So it's pretty amazing.
That is amazing, yeah.
And the other proof for that is, I don't know if you know, but in Tesla Metamorphosis 2 seminar, we do Tesla distant healing with communication. And there students, for example, get a picture of somebody they don't know, because they exchange the photos they all bring in the class, and then each would work on somebody he doesn't know. And
just from the picture.
Just from the picture,
right.
And they would all be able to make connection with their clients on the level of conscious, subconscious, and integrative mind, and to get to the source.
So
and
integrity mind equals higher self, I guess, or?
Well, maybe it's even more. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's
you know,
that's an important distinction, right?
Yeah. Well, you know how they taught us at school that in psychology,
subconscious.
Conscious mind is like a top of the ice rock that you can see on the top of the water, and then underneath in that what is in ocean, that is subconscious mind. So in that comparison, integrative mind would be the ocean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you have definitions of integrative mind in this Stella's text.
Channel.
Yeah, which is channeled, and you can find it under history, Metamorphosis in 2010.
Okay.
And the channel text is in italic so that you can differ it from my comments. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so you mentioned purple color. So does purple color only show up in Tesla Metamorphosis and not other modalities?
Yeah, it doesn't show in any other modalities according to those scientists. I mean, I didn't do research myself.
But there is a color that shows up when they're healing, like a different color, or it's just Is there a change when they're doing healings?
I mean, if you look at the PIP camera image of a session of Tesla Metamorphosis, you'll see the purple color, which is a new color, but you also see green colors and yellow colors. And if you compare, if you look at images of any modality, you will always have this green color. And that's very logical, according to what I learned at Vivekananda's classes, because green color is the color of heart chakra. And love is essential for healing. So there is no healing without love. So all healing modalities have that green color in PIP camera images.
Wow. And I just noticed we're wearing green and purple Tesla Metamorphosis.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience? I've exhausted my questions in regards to Tesla Metamorphosis. You gave a great introduction here last week, and I want to thank you for that. And I understand you have some courses coming up too. Did you want to share about your courses with the audience?
Yeah. First, I would like to share some things that are really pretty new, and in that long time I was in healing, I've never experienced something like this. Like, you know, in two cities, in the hall where we had a seminar, some balls of light appeared.
Like orbs? So the balls of light you're mentioning, they were like orbs?
Yeah, only those orbs were visible to naked eye. And, you know, all students, there were, I think, 38 students in the room.
Every one of them saw this?
Yeah, yeah. And they moved on the stage and stayed next to my left shoulder. There is even a photo of it, because somebody made the photo. And also,
yeah, I think I saw it on your website, actually.
Yeah. And last year in Canada, some colors appeared on the wall, and there were purple and green and yellow and blue.
Wow.
And you have a photo of this as well, but on the photo mostly you can see this purple color, but there was no source of light that would, you know, create those colors. So that you know, made me, again, being a curious child, that keeps me going, because it's not
being childlike, right? That's what Jesus said.
Yeah. And in healing, it's also important, being childlike. Yeah. And also there is, according to Professor Ristovsky, another phenomena are Professor Lyuba Ristovsky, who made those PIP camera images. From the Institute. He said that he had never seen some, on PIP camera images, there are some white lights that are moving around the table, and it's obvious that they are moving because photos were made in sequence.
Yeah.
So
then you can see the movement of the white light.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so he calls all that what he can't explain scientifically.
And he's only seen them in Tesla Metamorphosis and no other modality?
Yes, and he used to call it phenomena. So I said, it's phenomenal how many phenomena are around Tesla Metamorphosis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what, like, you've been doing this for a while now, right?
Yes.
What would you say is your rate of helping people, like testimonial-wise?
Well, it seems to me that since I do Tesla Metamorphosis, more people come, you know, with information that they got healed from illnesses that are like
fatal.
Yeah. But I can't really, if I'm honest, I can't talk about percentages, because for percentages you need to have a control number and so on. So it wouldn't be really.
How about just a couple of testimonials that might help the audience feel better about.
Yeah. Well, if you go on my website, you can see a photo of a lady who had lupus and her testimonial as well. You know that lupus is not curable, and medicine is happy if it keeps at the same level, you know, antibodies at the same level as long as possible. And when I came to do healing on her, I had to visit her at home because she wasn't capable of going out. She hardly had strength to come and open the door. And for the second session, she went across the whole city for the session. And then when she had the checkup, it was shown that her antibodies were decreased for 50%. And now she is running around and dancing salsa, and yeah. And also, it's very interesting. Another one
feels good when that happens, right?
Yeah, and also what really amazed me is that I had cases of reconstruction of a physically damaged spine, and also on my website on Testimonials you can hear a mother of a 21-year-old girl who had birth deformity. One side of her rib cage was much smaller than the other, and because of that her spine was curved. And you can hear her mother saying how the doctor of her daughter was amazed how only in 2 months, since he saw her previously, this side of the rib cage developed to be equal to the other, and her spine was almost completely...
So that's a physical change.
Yeah, so that is telling me that those Tesla waves affect DNA, because the information, the code in DNA must have been changed so that something like this could happen.
I have to be devil's advocate and ask a question.
Good. I love devil's advocate.
If you're getting your energy from source, right, source, then won't it access whatever wave of energy it needs to access to heal anyways?
Could you repeat that?
If you're getting your source of energy from source or God or the ultimate, right?
Yeah, or universe, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it, right? Then won't it access whatever frequency level it needs to access anyways?
Well, I guess yes, and that was my way of thinking. And that is why I was questioning, why would I need to do seminars when if I do healing on somebody, then this person should go and do healing on others.
Right.
So why would I need to do the seminars as I was advised? And it didn't work that way. So the only explanation I could have is the intention.
Right.
Because I don't do any attunements, I don't do any symbols, you know how in Reiki all rituals to enable students to do that. I don't do any of that. And all students, after finishing Tesla Metamorphosis 1, are able to do healings as I do, or maybe better, And so all students can access those Tesla waves and get those purple colors in their auras, and all can create the communication, which is actually communication beyond words. It's communication with emotions, pictures, and meanings. So they can access that, and I don't do any attunements in Tesla Metamorphosis 2 as well. So if they're attuned by this higher intelligence. And why they are attuned and those who didn't attend seminars were not, the only guessing I could have, it is because of intention. You have intention to come to seminar, you put your time, your work in it, you put yourself in it, and you get it. Let's say maybe that's...
I guess intention plays a huge part, and I guess Tesla had information or learnings or his own intentions when he was creating and discovering this reality. I guess I can use the word reality when he discovered the wave itself, right?
Yeah, intention is very important. And it's not what we do, it is why we do it. What is our motive? What is our intention? For example, 3 people could do exactly the same thing. Yeah. Let's say somebody is hurt, like laying on the floor.
Yeah.
One will come to help because he would like everybody to see how nice and good person he is.
Right.
The other person will come and help because he would like to think about himself as of a nice and good person.
And another would actually come to help because they want to help.
Yeah, because
genuinely.
Because he has feeling for the person who's on the table. So looking from outside, all 3 did exactly the same thing, but the intention.
So now there's 3 levels that you teach, right?
Well, those are not exactly levels.
Sorry,
those are 3 ways, of using Tesla Metamorphosis. Tesla Metamorphosis 1, everybody has to do first Tesla Metamorphosis 1 because those are the basics. And after finishing Tesla Metamorphosis 1, you are a practitioner of Tesla Healing Metamorphosis, and you get a certificate. You can go out and do healing on others, on yourself. You can heal your pets, your plants. You can heal your food.
Right.
But with food, be careful, because if you heal it for too long, it might get cold.
Is that a joke? I take it
that's a joke. Yeah. But it's interesting, one of my students...
Took me a second to get that.
One of my students, he bought PIP camera, and then he made a photo of a glass of water with some dirty, smudgy water, and all the colors on PIP camera image were really smudgy. And then he did Tesla healing on it, and after that he had purple, bright, shining colors. So the food can be healed too.
I bless my food. It's fast. It's done.
Okay, that's the way to go as well. And then Tesla Metamorphosis too. That is what I was talking the most about, because that fascinates me the most, because I haven't really experienced that anywhere, or neither I know of any other modality where you can just get into this communication without using any symbols, any rituals, any procedures. It's for the first time that I have experienced that, and it's interesting when I did it first time, because I wasn't really confident that everybody could do it. So how could I go out and teach it and without checking whether
verifying it?
Yeah. So I did it first time with 3 people, 3 friends that I worked before, and yes, all of them could do it. But what happened? It was an interesting episode. While Maz, one of the students, was reading what she got through this healing, and we all were like with teary eyes because it was quite emotional.
Aww.
It was a beautiful
experience.
Day. No, it was really nice day in Sydney. The sky was absolutely blue, and then all of the sudden the clouds were coming, and then the lightnings, and we all turned around and said, "Hi, Tesla." and 15 minutes later the clouds disappeared, no drop of rain, and I took it as a sign, a signal. Yeah, that's the way to go and teach it.
Yeah.
And in just a month ago, I had in this Tesla Metamorphosis 2 seminar somewhere 48 or something students in Ljubljana, and all of them were able to create the communication. So I never had the case that somebody couldn't. I had an interesting case where one lady, she burst in tears. She said, "Look, you know, I'm just making it up. I'm, you know, projecting myself. It's not the real thing. I can't do it." And I said, "Okay, well, maybe you do one more exercise on a photo, because we do it without photo and, you know, some other ways." And another student took a photo of her son, 11 years old son, from her wallet and gave her. And this lady, when she finished, she was reading and she said, "You know, I know that it doesn't make any sense, but I keep on seeing two boys, twins." And then the one who brought the photo burst in tears, and she explained to us that she had twins and she lost one on the birth, and that her 11-year-old son would ask her if he had a brother, and he claimed that he could communicate with his brother.
Wow.
So the student, she received something which didn't make any sense and was true, to make her understand that she could do it.
Right. Just for her own faith.
Yeah.
Her own
yeah.
faith.
If she had something
Yeah.
ordinary, then she
Yeah.
would keep on questioning whether
Yeah.
she could do it or not. But with this, that was
Yeah.
really, you know, didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Two boys, not one boy.
And she did the right thing too. She shared what she saw.
Yeah, she had courage to share
that. Right?
Well,
that's
that's
important too, right?
Oh, there were some that had even more courage.
Wow.
For example, in Sydney, on one seminar, was it in Sydney? I can't recall. But I mean, in one seminar, a lady was doing healing on a wife of a gentleman who was in the class as well. And then he said, his feedback was, "Oh, I'm sorry, but it really has nothing to do with my wife." Okay, but next day he came in the class and he said, "Well, I have to admit, I gave this piece of paper to my wife, and she burst in tears and she said, 'Finally, somebody understands me.'"
Wow.
So that was more courage, you know. So I really appreciated the courage of this man who came back and said,
And
"Look, I was
actually
wrong."
shared, right?
Yeah, shared.
That's
yeah.
the important thing, right?
Yes.
Right. Wow. Okay, so tell me a little bit, like, okay, we talked about Tesla healing, then there's the other way. What's the other
And
way?
then so in Tesla Metamorphosis 1, you do
The healing.
Tesla Healing Metamorphosis. And the other seminar is Tesla Metamorphosis 2, where you do learn how to do distant healing with communication, and that is just what we were talking about.
That's right.
But those are not levels, so somebody could choose to do Tesla Metamorphosis 1 and then to go straight to Tesla Metamorphosis 3.
I see.
And in Tesla Metamorphosis 3, you learn how to perform Tesla light body metamorphosis
So what's
on
that?
others. Well, that's a very specific 2-day process, which is done once in a lifetime, and this process has a purpose of personal growth on physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level.
Right.
And in this process, using Tesla waves, we draw very precise lines on the body and activate very precise points on the body. And this process helps our DNA. You know, if you read Estella's text, you will see how Estella says, she claims that once we had 13 DNA strands and now we have 1. So I had a small problem with this one.
Now they're claiming we had 24, but then
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, I know the number keeps going.
You know, yeah, but
Point is still.
if you think of the answer I had, because you know when she said we had 13 and now we have 1, I was questioning how comes one when science says two.
Yeah.
And then she explained that that's one DNA with two helix.
Two strands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we call each helix a DNA strand, then according to this count 14 times 2 would be
13. Well, okay.
Yeah, so the number, it's again, you know, when we communicate with words, we could always misunderstand each other. So that's why communicating beyond words, that is what is happening with Tesla Metamorphosis too. And Estella claims that that's the way how the astral beings with higher frequency of consciousness can communicate.
They can make astral connections.
Yeah, they can make astral connections, yeah. So this Tesla Metamorphosis 3, when we, you know, we draw those lines and activate the points, and that actually helps those DNA. You know how in Western science they call those DNAs that are not in use, junk DNA.
Junk DNA.
Yeah. So it seems that those 13 or 20, whatever.
They're maybe just dormant and need to be woken up or something?
Well, some Russian scientists actually had proved that even they were doing experiments with DNA. So they would put a laser light on DNA, and the laser light would make the spiral movements as following the movement of DNA. And then they would physically remove the DNA, but the laser light would continue spinning. So if the physical DNA is not present, it doesn't mean that nothing's there.
Nothing's there. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's huge. So this process actually helps reconstructing those.
So that implies even though the DNA is not there, something's there, and then it can be reconstructed physically even.
Yeah, and maybe that's the part of my message. You need to reconstruct. Yeah. And so this process helps the reconstruction of those so-called junk DNA and bringing them in harmony with the DNA of planet Earth and of the universe. And as we know now, we are going through changes. Our planet Earth, Mother Planet Earth, is going through huge changes in electromagnetic and energy field. And if we do this process, we will be able to follow those changes together with the planet. So we would go much easier through these changes. And also, after having their Tesla light body metamorphosis, people report that they feel that they have changed, and as they change, other people changed over them.
Around them, you mean?
Yes, around them. So by changing them, they change the environment.
Wow.
And also they say that everything's much clearer to them. They're much easy to make choice. Some report changing partners, some changing jobs, or changing the place where they live. But it's interesting that most of the time, they report they report the
positive changes.
Yeah.
So the light body metamorphosis. So if somebody goes to this light body metamorphosis 3. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and a seminar.
Will they be able to give someone else a light body metamorphosis?
Yeah, that is the purpose of this seminar. On this seminar, you learn how to do Tesla light body metamorphosis on others. Yes.
Okay. Wow.
And this weekend,
I'll have to come and get it from you.
Yeah. And also, you might come for the seminar because
I can't have to be here.
Yeah. Find a way. If you have a clear intention, it will happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah, so if, those who would like to attend the seminars, you can find all the information under seminars and event schedule. If you click on to register, there is information.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll put it in the line on the bottom anyways for you, so don't worry.
Yeah, and on this Friday, there is a presentation at, we have to look, I don't know by
It's
heart.
okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Don't
so
worry.
maybe you can tell in camera that on this Saturday there is a free presentation, so people can come and hear and see whether there's something for them.
Absolutely.
And there will be live presentation, live demonstration of healing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Anya.
Thank you.
I enjoyed this interview. It's a pleasure having you.
It was a pleasure being here.